Hello everybody, how are you all doing? Feeling okay? So I am honoured to be here in front of you guys today. I wanted to talk a little bit about the visuals and the sonic pieces that have inspired me to write Collapsed in Sunbeams. And I just missed you guys a lot, so I wanted to chat things through. And I hope you guys are doing well as can be done in such a strange time. And I was going to start off with a little bit of an unexpected YouTube video that I found probably during the first lockdown, and it inspired me in a very strange way. So it's actually a video of the Beatles performing This Boy live, and the harmonies on the Beatles album, especially Rubber Soul and the Beach Boys album, really shaped the way that I approached harmony in Collapse in Sunbeams. I'm most proud of the harmonies probably on Caroline and on Green Eyes, of course, because that's Claire's lovely voice. So that is probably my first one. That This Boy, sorry, by the Beatles, and that's a YouTube video that I found. And yeah, harmonies are very important to me when I write, simply because I think they add another layer of emotion to the songs. It's almost like a quieter, more sensitive me is singing. Hello to everybody who's just joining. I will be doing a Q&A at the end, and you can put any questions you have in the chat below, and I'll also be opening the fan line in about 20 minutes or so. And I really appreciate you guys being here with me this evening. So I'll also be putting a playlist together of all the videos that I mentioned during this in terms of my inspiration, so you guys can pore over them afterwards and explore the worlds that I've found. So the next video that I'm going to talk about is a video that the Tate did on Wolfgang Tillmans, and I've got it written down. It says, "What art does to me is beyond words," and it's an artist interview with Wolfgang Tillmans. And he's a photographer that really inspired me, especially when I was co-directing the short film for Gucci and when I was approaching the videos for Hope and for Caroline. I think the key for me to Collapsed in Sunbeams was creating an intimate space, celebrating youth, celebrating nostalgia. And what Wolfgang Tillmans does really well is create a sense of, he really captures the spirit of the people that he takes photos of in a way that feels very natural and very beautiful. And so I'm obsessed with Wolfgang Tillmans, and this little video explores his process and how he puts together installations, so I really recommend it. The next video that I'm going to speak about is a very, very important one to me, and it's a video of Big Thief performing at South by Southwest in 2017. And that was, where I was supposed to be performing in 2020. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there, but hopefully everyone in Texas is still expecting me. I'd love to be back. And what's beautiful to me about Big Thief is, for me, it's Adrienne Lenker's voice and words. She draws on nature. She addresses people in her songs by name. She creates this sense of stillness in her work that feels so personal. And that's why I love Adrienne Lenker, and that performance is so raw. Like, she's like shouting and she's shredding that guitar, and the whole band have amazing chemistry and they're so in sync. So that's why I love Adrienne Lenker and Big Thief. I'd recommend checking out their album Masterpiece, and also Adrienne Lenker's solo album called Songs. I'm obsessed with that album. And next I'd like to talk about, I love seeing you guys just popping up there. I hope it's really lovely to see. I miss you all. But yeah, next I'm going to talk about the James Blake video. And by the way, for anybody who's just joined, this is a video about the videos that inspired me to make Collapse in Sunbeams. and the songs, and I wanted to make a little kind of playlist of you guys so you guys could really get to the heart of the album, because it's coming in a few weeks now, which is exciting. So the next video I want to talk about is Can't Believe the Way We Flow by James Blake, and it's directed by a director called Frank LeBon, who also directed Check One by King Cruel, and Sundress by A$AP Rocky. And the beautiful thing about his work is that it's so playful, it's so warm, it's so rich. Like, the video opens with James Blake kind of writing in his notepad, and then this bird kind of like poops on his head, which I thought was really funny. But then it goes into this kaleidoscope of different scenarios everywhere from, you know, classrooms to cemeteries to beach sides to karate lessons, and it's almost like the whole of humanity in one video. And that's what I love about Can't Believe the Way We Flow by James Blake. And the Assume Form album as well was really inspirational to me, especially recently, listening to songs like Into the Red and Barefoot in the Park really filled my heart. Yeah. And then I love going through this with you. I think that it's important that you guys know where things are coming from, because of course there's a lot of instinct rooted in how I write, but there are also a lot of people who have shaped me and got me to where I am today, so I think it's important to pay homage to them. So, I'm just going to read the comments. Are there any features on Collapsed in Sunbeams? So the only feature on Collapsed in Sunbeams is Claro, and she does BVs and guitar on Green Eyes, and I'm really, really grateful. I'm really grateful for her work on that song. I think it adds this, it's just ethereal, the way that she sings, the way that she brought herself completely to the song and added this sense of lightness and softness. I've just been a fan of Claro since like To Hold You and all those little demos that she had on SoundCloud. I think she's really incredible. And just going back to Frank LeBon quickly, it kind of reminds me of my love of Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson is a big inspiration for me, and so is this director called Xavier Dolan. But I'd recommend watching films like The Royal Tenenbaums and Moonrise Kingdom if you haven't yet. And Fantastic Mr. Fox is one of my favourite. It's one of my favourite ever. And the album behind me, we will get to that. Don't you worry. And I just want to talk about a few more videos, and then we'll go on to the records, and then we will go on to you guys being able to call in and ask me some questions. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So the next video that I want to talk about is called Beginning Stages, I believe, and it's basically a combination of all of the jam sessions that went into Solange's album A Seat at the Table. So it's all these little moments of BTS where she's using her voice and experimenting and playing on synths and scribbling in her notebook. And what I love about Solange is the freedom with which she writes. That's something that really inspired me in just watching her riffing and trying things and discarding ideas, embracing new ideas. I found it so inspiring to watch, because I think when I went into the album making process, there was this sense of what's the thread? Where am I going with this? And then once I let go of that sense of, anxiety surrounding direction, I found the direction quite organically in the end. So that is, I've got it written down here. So it's called Beginning Stages, a look into Solange's songwriting process and jam sessions that shaped A Seat at the Table. And it's okay if you can't get into Solange. It's okay if you can't get into anything that I'm talking about. This is just my own personal taste. And everybody has different tastes. And okay, I'm going to talk about two more things, and then I'm going to open it up to the records that I brought along with me from that side of my bedroom. And so I've got Frank O'Hara reading a poem called Having a Coke with You. And the reason why I love this poem and this reading is because it feels so intimate. feels so personal. And it inspired me to start my album with something that you will hear when you hear it. But no, to be serious, like poetry is a big influence and it really influences how I write. And hearing Frank O'Hara deliver this poem that felt so intimate and simply romantic and hyper specific, you know, having a Coke with you is better than going to San Sebastian. Like, I think that's such a cute thing to say. Um, and oh, I'm just getting distracted by by your questions. I will get to the questions, I promise. So that is Having a Coke with You by Frank O'Hara. If you just type that into YouTube, then you'll be able to find it. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is Sufjan Stevens, because that's a beautiful little segue into what I'm going to talk about next. One of my favourite albums of all time is Carrie & Lowell by Sufjan Stevens. And there's this video that he did live on, so it's called Sufjan Stevens Futile Devices live on Soundcheck. I think that's what it's called. And the way that he sings it, there are tears in his eyes. His voice is trembling, almost breaking. And he really embraces that fragility within himself. It feels so delicate. And what he's talking about essentially is being so close to a person that you feel like your brothers, you feel like your sisters, you feel like your souls are somehow intertwined. And I thought that that was such a beautiful feeling, and the way that he talks about melancholy and sadness and hope and healing really inspired Collapsed in Sunbeams, because a lot of this album is about working through trauma and finding joy in unexpected places and nostalgia as well. Okay, so now that I've run through my influences, I may add a couple more on the playlist later. I am going to share with you guys a few of the albums that inspired me. But first of all, a little shameless self-promo, because I finally received... You look at it, man. I'm trying to fit it into the frame. So I finally received my copy of Collapsed in Sunbeams. If you haven't already, it must be pre-ordered to make my day. Look at that. Wow, man. How amazing is that? Oh, anyway. So yes, if you haven't pre-ordered it already, it would make my day if you would. And I can't wait for you guys all to be holding it in your hands like I am here. It's crazy that something that started off as just these little fragments in my mind turns into something physical. Like, I can touch it. It's crazy. But yes, I'll be signing some, so feel free to grab those. But yeah, it's coming soon as well. It feels like it's been a lifetime that I've been waiting to show these songs to you guys. And to answer your question, if I'm signing, I have signed some of them. The proof is in my aching wrist. But yeah, I wanted to sign some for you guys because I thought that would be special. And because I wanted it to feel like I was sending you a piece of me, as it were. So yes, here's a final little glance at the finished product. And okay, so now I'm going to move on to a few albums that have inspired me, and inspired me in general, but also, you know, me as a human being as well. So this is Carrie & Lowell by Sufjan Stevens. And the reason why this album is important to me, I touched on it a little bit. I'm being attacked. I touched on the reason why Sufjan Stevens is important to me a little bit earlier. His vulnerability, the way that he presents melancholy in a way that is so graceful and so honest. And my favourite song on the album is either The Only Thing or John My Beloved. And he also released an iPhone demo version of John My Beloved. And there is something so... He delves into that hyper-specific part of writing as well, in a way that I try and attempt to do as well. But there's this line where he talks about Long Island kindness and wine and his order of fries, and talking about, you know, the time he spent growing up in Eugene, Oregon. And I just think that that album is very beautiful. So Carrie Lowell was definitely a big inspiration. So next up, we've got this. My little light is casting a shadow. I'm sorry. So this is an album called Negro Swan by Blood Orange. The reason why I love this album is that it truly is a genre-bending album. It talks about everything from race to growing up to coming of age to self-love to healing to trauma. And Dev Hynes' sonic palette is so broad. You know, my favorite songs are Out of Your League, which features Steve Lacy, Charcoal Baby, and Hope. And the drums on Hope were really inspirational to me. This album as a whole just felt very warm, and it felt very self-reflective and self-dissecting almost. So Blood Orange, and Cupid Deluxe as well by Blood Orange, is very good. I'm sorry if I'm getting too close to the camera. I'm quite a fidgety person. Okay, next up we have the iconic Dummy by Portishead. Right. So anybody who knows me is going to know how important this album is to me. If you haven't listened to this album, you must listen to this album. It's not a question. So the reason why I love Dummy by Portishead, I mean, there are a million reasons. Beth Gibbons' voice is heartbreaking. It's tender. It's haunting as well. And the drums, I mean, Rhodes on that album really inspired my song for Violet on the album. That sparseness to it, that, I don't know, there's a sense of yearning to it. I just love that album so much, and I've always been a fan of the trip hop genre. So that includes albums like Mezzanine, and Introducing by DJ Shadow, and yes, Glory Box. But yes, for Violet was really inspired by Rhodes, by Portishead. And Dummy is probably one of those albums that's influenced my record and my music the most. But not quite as much as this one. This is the album of dreams. Look at it. It's so beautiful. This is In Rainbows by Radiohead. Probably my favorite album of all time. This is the back of it. Radiohead was my most listened to artist on Spotify by a million miles. Nude was my favorite song of the year, or however you say it. And it just influenced me endlessly. Like my favorite, I can't even pick a favorite, but there's this moment where it's like All I Need, Nude, and Weird Fishes all like in 1/3, and when I'm listening to it on my vinyl, that's like the trio that I wait for. And Reckoner, the percussion on Reckoner inspired the percussion on Caroline, especially in verse 2, and Weird Fishes as well. And I mean, just those drums throughout the record really inspired the drums on my record. You know, 15 Step, I don't know. I just think that everybody should listen to In Rainbows. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm a little bit biased just because I love that record so much, endlessly. So, okay. Now, what I'm going to do, everybody, I'm going to open the fan line. So, if you guys would like to speak to me, yes, Sarah, I'm proud of you purchasing that bundle. That made me very happy. But so I'm going to open the fan line, and if you have a question for me, just call in. We'll have a little chat, and we will talk. We will speak together. So I'm going to open the fan line, and if you feel comfortable doing so, just call in, and we'll have a quick little chat, and I'll try and make sure that I can get to everybody. All right. I think that this is how it works. So you can call that number and have a little chat with me. This is exciting. I love this kind of thing. But yeah, so I mean, a few other albums that really influenced me: Mama's Gun by Erykah Badu, Either Or by Portishead. Oh, this is actually decaf. This is decaf coffee. I'm being naughty. Okay, we've got someone calling in. Hello. Hey, what's up?
Hi. Oh my goodness.
How you doing?
You are amazing. I'm amazing. You are so amazing. Oh my God. I didn't know this was going to happen. My name is Amelia Rose. I'm a singer-songwriter too, and you have influenced me so much. Oh my goodness.
Oh, thank you so much. Amelia, I mean, I'm glad that you're doing well as well. These are difficult times. Did you have a question in particular, or you just wanted to say hey?
Yeah, I am curious to know your favorite method of songwriting. Like, do you start with the poetry? Do you start with the chords, the production? What's your go-to method?
Yeah, I mean, so when I've been working over the past few weeks, I've been like working by myself, and it's been interesting because like I've just started off with chords, and that's something that I don't usually do. Usually I just start with, just opening my notebook and focusing on the poetry. But for now, yeah, I've just been like, I've got this little keyboard here set up, and I just kind of play around until I find something inspiring, and then just sing melodies basically into my voice notes over the top, and just see what comes out. I think that there's something freeing about not really knowing where you're going to end up when you start.
Definitely. That's super inspiring. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Yeah, no, all good. I hope you have a lovely day or afternoon, wherever you are in the world.
Thank you. You too. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
all good. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Um, I do live in the UK. I hope that everybody can call in. I hope that it's accessible to everybody. I'm not 100% sure, but okay, I've got another call here. Hello? Hello? Oh no, I think they've gone. Goodbye. To anybody who doesn't feel comfortable or doesn't want to call in, then just write your little messages in the chat. And oh, okay, we've got somebody else here. All right. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hey, what's up?
Hi, my name's Carol. Oh, wait, are we actually talking?
Yeah. We're actually chatting, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love your music, Arlo. My
Oh,
best friend
thank
and
you.
I, like, we always text each other and we're listening to your songs. My question for you was, when did you start to write? Sorry, I'm so nervous, but
It's
like, when did you
okay.
start
Take your
to
time.
write and like, okay, when did you start to write and like, how was the process of just like opening up? Because I know it's really hard to like emotionally like show yourself through songs or like through poetry. And
Mhm.
like, how did you manage doing that in a way that's like healthy for you, you know?
Yeah, I mean, so I started writing, like, I started off with short stories essentially. So I started off writing when I was about 7 or 8. And then I moved on to poetry when I was about, 13. And then I started writing when I was 15. And I only started sharing my songs probably when I was about like 16 or 17, maybe. And I think for me, at first, what drove me to share my music in the first place was a desire to connect and to help people. And although I did feel exposed, and there'll always be an element of that, I was like, okay, if I put something out into the world that could help somebody, because that had happened to me so many times with other musicians, then it's kind of worth that feeling of feeling vulnerable for a second. I don't know if that makes sense. So
No, yeah.
it's like when I listen to, I don't know, when I listen to Elliott Smith, or when I listen to any other artist that I connect to, Phoebe Bridgers, you know, it's they're being open and they're bearing their soul in their work. And that's what helps me. So I just kind of hope to do the same thing to other people. That's kind of what inspires me to make things, I guess. Do you make music?
That's I don't make music, but I write poetry,
Okay.
and I've started reading at like poetry nights. Like me and my best friend, it's been a year, and we hosted our first one actually last month, and a bunch of
Nice.
people like came out and wrote for the first time and read for the first time. But I really related to what you were saying at the beginning, how like when you like listen to an artist and you hear their emotions, and you
Mm.
can hear how much like their music or like their poetry or whatever their work is influences them. And
Mm.
I kept on thinking that like I would get nervous when I was like reading, but I realize now it is nervous for sure. Like I'm nervous every single time, but it's also just like I feel the work as if I'm reading it for the very first time.
Mm. That makes sense, though. That makes sense because, and I think that when you do feel that way, it means that you're making something true, like that you've captured the essence of a feeling. Because I mean, I have the same thing when I'm on stage. Like every time I sing a song, it feels like I'm singing it for the very first time, just because, you know, you almost get transported into that moment or into whatever story you're telling. And I think I mean, it means you're on the right track. And congrats as well for setting up like poetry readings. That's so cool. I'm too nervous to like read I mean, I read it at shows, but the idea of going to a poetry reading is still quite intimidating for me. But I hope that one day that I can go and do that.
You should definitely come to like my friend and ours. We're hosting them monthly, and I can like send you a Zoom link and you can come and read and no one has to know, you know. It can be very
Oh,
low
it's on
key.
Zoom. Okay. That no, I'm into that
Yeah, yeah.
idea. That's like a soft little introduction. I like that. I like that
Yeah.
idea. I want to do
It's
that.
less stressful. Okay,
Mm.
I'll send you the link.
Yeah,
My
send it
name's
through.
Carol, just so that like when you see, you're not like, who is this?
All good. All right, no, send it through to me, definitely. I'm excited.
Okay,
I
cool.
think that would be good
I'm
fun.
excited too.
All right,
Yeah,
Carol.
no, for sure, for sure. Thank you so much for answering.
All good. All right, have a lovely day.
You
Oh no, I'm sorry, I cut you off. Sorry. Okay, I'm looking through. Okay, let me look through a few of the questions here, and then I will answer some calls. So hold fire quickly. Um, So, yes, I do know St. Vincent. I'm in love. I would recommend, well, I mean, I assume if you're asking, you're the expert, so I wouldn't really recommend anything. But all I mean is that I love the song Digital Witness. I love Rattlesnake. I love Los Angeles as well. Definitely would recommend St. Vincent. Any book suggestions? Yes. So I've been reading. I was gonna wait. Oh, it's underneath my coffee right now. But some books that I would recommend are um, Four Books by Wolfgang Tillmans. It's like a little collection that I've been loving at the moment of his photography. I'd recommend Slouching Towards Bethlehem by Joan Didion. I'd recommend Blueberries by Eleanor Savage, which is a series of essays about bodies and pain and trauma and working through one's past. And I'd also recommend Grand Union, which is a collection of short stories by Zadie Smith. Um, okay, I'm going to pick up a few more calls. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hey, what's up?
Oh my gosh, hi.
Hey, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm having actually a very hard day.
Okay.
My name is Maris, and I am from the U.S. I
Mm-hmm.
am sitting at my desk doing some accounting work.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I am a creative like you, but bills got to be paid. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
having an extremely hard day, and I called because your music is so deep and heartfelt and raw.
Mm.
And I was wondering if you had any advice from, you know, one heartfelt depressed person to another.
Mm. I mean, I think that something like two I guess you'd call them affirmations that have kept me going, are the idea that, you know, pain will either change and end, and, you know, what is meant for you will not pass you by, whether that's positive or negative. And I think that that helps me kind of cope with those difficult days. The idea that, you know, there is a lot of joy in life and there's a lot of pain in life, and we will get what we get out of both of those. And I think that, you know, as a creative as well, lean on that in yourself in those difficult times. You know, maybe try and put some time aside, if you have it, for writing or for listening to, you know, an album that makes you happy. I think it's important to, in these moments, lean into what we love, and hold hope for the future, because I know that these are really uncertain times.
Yeah, that's you know, I agree with that. I like to paint. I like to do abstract work. I do like to write poetry as well. You know, going from a transition for me from being in a relationship to being alone or single, you know, I'm trying to find that instead of loneliness, solitude. Because solitude is a positive thing instead of loneliness being a negative thing. And there's a lot of things that I like to do alone, especially creatively, you know, with painting and poetry and just writing little tidbits and reading. Like I'm into yoga and meditation and those sort of things. But, you know, sometimes it's hard to connect with those things when you're feeling really sad or you're losing someone that you love for the better. And I'm just trying to find that peace.
Is
And I
that
just find you very inspiring.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think that, you know, for me as well, like there are definitely periods where, you know, inspiration ebbs and flows, and like the desire to paint as you do or to write ebbs and flows as well. And I think that what's important is to, you know, you're going through a lot and there's a lot to work through. So I think it's important to be patient and know that it is something that is inside you and that doesn't just go away. You know, I think that the desire to paint will come back.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Thank you for all of your inspiration with your music and just how deep you are. And, you know, I also really love Fantastic Mr. Fox and Radiohead and Rainbows. I really love OK Computer as well.
Nice. Yeah, no, those
but I want to give
Oh, sorry, go on. No, sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
I just, you know, I'm just giddy.
All good. Well, I mean, I hope that tomorrow is a little bit better for you, and I'm sorry you're having a tough day, but it was a pleasure to talk to you.
Well, you made my day talking to me. I'm nervous, you know, it's just crazy to talk to you. And, you know, you're also just so young and so talented and so beautiful and raw, and you just inspire so many of us. And
thank you.
I want to give other people a chance to be able to hear your voice. So thank you for talking to me today, Arlo.
Yeah, thank you. It's been lovely. All right, take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, we've got time for one more call. It's been lovely to be able to talk to you guys on the phone. I am definitely an avid lover of phone conversations. I spend a lot of my time on the phone. And I think that it's a beautiful way to connect. You know, I think that conversation is one of the most beautiful things. So I'm just going to have one more chat, and then I will leave you guys for now. But it's been lovely to chat with you, and it's been lovely to share some time, and hopefully we can share some space whenever it's safe. All right, one last call. Hello?
Hi.
Hey, what's up? How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm Sienna, and I was on your Zoom call, and that was, yeah. Sorry, I'm actually hearing you talking on my iPad because I'm watching it. So it's kind of okay. So my question for you was, I know you really try to connect with your fans, like you do Zoom calls and like live YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff. And I was wondering if you do that because like there was a celebrity or something that kind of was really like tried to connect to their fans and that like inspired you to do that or something.
Let me think. I mean, I definitely have been inspired by other artists. I mean, when I think about artists like Phoebe Bridgers or Billie Eilish as well, or you know, when I think about the artists that I look up to in their individual ways, they all try and connect to their fans. I mean, whether it's, you know, doing things like my phone my phone almost fell, sorry. Whether it's, you know, doing things like YouTube lives, or, you know, when the world was normal, you know, doing meet and greets and chatting to fans after shows. I mean, that's what I really crave, to be honest. Like, I really
Yeah.
wish that I could be, you know, doing all of this in person. But I think that honestly the reason why I do it is just because like something inside me really wants to, like, all these people that I see,
Yeah.
you know, listening to my music, like, there are human beings behind every single, you know, whether it's like an Instagram follower or a listener or whatever, and those are the people that I want to get to know, because I wouldn't be where I am without you guys. So I feel like I just want to
Yeah.
keep you guys updated on like what I'm doing. Like, I just feel like you guys are like a family of sorts. So I don't know. And I think that it's fun, especially in times like these where everybody's feeling a little bit kind of lonely, to, you know, keep up with each other, check in on each other, and just like hold each other close until we actually can, like, not across the internet.
Yeah. Well, it means a lot, like when sorry, I'm nervous when like celebrities connect with their fans. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I'm a celebrity, to be honest. I feel like I'm just like, I'm just kind of making music, and people are
Yeah.
listening. Like, I don't feel like there's a boundary between us, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I just, you know, we're just two people who like clearly love music, and we're just hanging out. Like, that's how I see it, at least.
Yeah.
And I think that it's, I mean, when artists that I love do this kind of thing, or whether it's, you know, just taking the time to, I don't know, like, I know people who like send postcards to fans, or, you know, as you say, like, arrange Zoom calls or connect. I just think that it makes you feel like you're part of their world a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Have a lovely day.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, everybody. Yes, I know I'm a slow coffee drinker. I saw that a little comment there. It was funny. All right. So that was my last call that I'm going to do tonight, because I can't believe we've been here for 40 minutes already. But I just wanted to say that I hope everybody's well. Wanted to do a final shameless plug. Collapsed in Sunbeams. Pre-order it. Pre-order it. Pre-order it. And I hope to do another one of these soon. I really enjoyed having you guys call in. I think it's lovely. And I hope that you guys have a lovely day. I hope that those of you who are having difficult days have better days. And I can't wait to share this album with you. It's going to be a blast. All right.